So take this from me. There's nothing like the market is saturated. There's nothing like this business is saturated. So don't go into it. What we call saturation, in fact, is people competing amongst each other on lousy services, underpricing each other. That is what is called competition. But I look at the market as something like a pyramid. There's always space on the top. There's always space up there. So meaning that for every market, there's always room for improvement. For every business, there's always room for improvement. So when you come into a new market, which in quote is says to be saturated, focus on bringing something new, something different that the existing players are not looking at. For example, before MoneyPoint came on board, there were so many banks. But again, we had the problem of transfer, the integrity of transferring money from one bank to another bank, and sometimes even from bank to bank, from one bank to the same bank. You could transfer money in the morning and calling for the recipients to be getting the money in the evening. So what did MoneyPoint do? MoneyPoint didn't say, there are so many big banks, there are major banks that we're not going to be able to compete amongst them. What MoneyPoint did was that they narrowed down on solving the problem of transfer. And before you know it, MoneyPoint, even though it's a microfinance bank, it will shock you, is competing amongst the banks with the biggest valuations in this country. Why? Because of differentiation of service. Another thing is, before InDrive, Rider came on board, there were Uber, there were Bolt, but Rider and InDrive came with a differentiation of service. And what is that? They came with negotiation. Now you are able to negotiate, you and the driver, you're able to negotiate amongst yourself to agree on a comfortable price, a price that is comfortable with you, comfortable with the driver. And before you know it, InDrive has pushed Bolt and Uber almost out of the market. Why? Because of service differentiation. Nothing more. So there's nothing like the market is saturated. What you're seeing is it is saturated at the bottom, at the base. Like I say, it's like a pyramid. It's saturated at the base where everybody is struggling with poor services, struggling with prices. And let me tell you, when you bring the right service to the market, it does not matter what you price it, people will pay. Customers will pay. So stop focusing on trying to undercut your competitor with price. Focus on offering a service which your competitor is not offering. Auntie taught me this. She's a pharmacist in a city where there are so many pharmacists. So she runs a pharmacy. But guess what she does? If there's any intractable case, and she's noticed that this person has been here several times, buying the same drug, buying the same drug, buying the same drug, she makes friends with that customer. What she will now do is, from time to time, she calls the customer to ask about his or her health, to ask about the health of the person that has been taking the drug. And she doesn't stop there. Even at the altar in their house, this one, the customer doesn't even know this. In the morning, their morning devotion, they will mention the name of the customer, the case that the customer has been coming to buy drugs for. That is service differentiation. And sometimes she goes as, especially if the customers are coming from the hospital, right? Maybe the hospital does not have the drug, and the customer has been long in the hospital. Sometimes she and her husband, they go to visit the customer. These total strangers, just because the customer has been coming regularly to come and buy drugs from her. They go and pay visits. Service differentiation. So there's nothing like this business is saturated. Everybody's doing this business. No. What everybody's doing is that everybody's offering poor services. What everybody's doing is that everybody's trying to undercut each other by reducing their prices. And the more you reduce your price, the more you offer poor services. Offer something different. Offer something new.